OnePlus is back with another smartphone, and this time it's the OnePlus 3. So in the past, OnePlus 3 released 3 competitive smartphones at a low price. At this point, it's pretty obvious you would expect the same thing for the OnePlus 3, and that's exactly what you get. High-end specs, with the phone running you around $400 with free shipping. And this time, no more invites are needed. Anywho, I wanted to start off with the design of the phone. Easily one of the best smartphones I have held to date. Very comfortable, solid weight, and a premium feel with the aluminum unibody. It's 6.01 inches in length, 2.94 inches wide, and 0.29 inches thick, varying a little towards the edges. The OnePlus gives you a similar size to that of the OnePlus 2 and OnePlus 1, but surprisingly the thinnest and lightest out of all of its predecessors except for the OnePlus X. This may sound great at first, but when you stop to realize that the battery capacity has decreased in size to just 3000 milliamp hours, with the OnePlus 2 having 3300 and the OnePlus 1 having 3100, it makes you wonder if you'd rather have a thinner phone or a bigger battery. Obviously, most people would prefer more battery, as the camera hump on the back could have been avoided and it wouldn't make much of a difference in thickness. But we'll take a look at battery life later on. Anyways, the buttons are very tactile, easily recognizable, and button placement is perfect. The alert slider is still there from the OnePlus 2, allowing you to easily switch between noise profiles, and a great example of when I would use this is when I'm at the movie theater or a presentation, and I can easily silence all my notifications just by sliding this button to the top, not having to turn on my display. As for the front buttons, you can choose to use on-screen or capacitive buttons. I tend to use the capacitive buttons as I don't want to make the display smaller in size. Plus, you get more customizable options such as long pressing the recents button to navigate to your last used application, or double tapping the home button to open up the camera. These are just a couple of examples, but you can mess around with even more options within the settings. The fingerprint sensor is very well done, allowing you to unlock your phone with multiple fingers in less than a second. And since the home button is also the fingerprint reader, I can unlock the device when it's flat on a table. The fingerprint sensor was a nice improvement from the OnePlus 2 as well. There's only one loudspeaker on the phone besides the earpiece, and it's towards the bottom. Since it's a single speaker, you won't be able to get that immersion when listening to your music or watching YouTube videos. And when compared to other devices such as the Nexus 6P, which have dual front-facing speakers, you can easily tell the difference in quality, making the OnePlus 3 sound very distorted. As for the display, it's a 5.5-inch 1080p AMOLED screen with a pixel density of 401 ppi. Obviously, don't try to match this with a Quad HD display from Samsung, such as the Galaxy S7, but this display looks good. Having some really thin bezels for unnecessary bulk, a decently bright screen for visibility outdoors, and some great viewing angles makes it almost unnoticeable that it's 1080p. Plus, battery life gets a great benefit, and I can barely tell the difference unless I hold it next to a Quad HD display. To power this 1080p display, you have a Snapdragon 820 chip, Adreno 530 GPU, 64GB of non-expandable storage, and 6GB of RAM. 6GB of RAM looks great on the spec sheet, but I've never really got to experience all of this memory. The OnePlus 3 only allowed me to use a little over 4GB of RAM until it decided to close most of the apps I had running in the background. This is most likely to preserve battery life, which is fine by me as application reload time is extremely fast, but this spec is sort of deceiving as you can't fully utilize 6GB of RAM, at least for now. Maybe a future update will change that. But who cares, this phone is extremely smooth. I've never experienced any stutters, and with Oxygen OS 3.1.2, you get a near-like Google experience just like the Nexus 6P with a few benefits. Oxygen OS is built around Marshmallow, but there's no bloatware, skins, or unnecessary UI changes. Some neat software features include the quick settings customization option, a dark mode for easier night viewing, and some cool gesture controls. So while the screen is off, you can open the camera by drawing an O, toggle the flashlight by drawing a V, and controlling your music with even more gestures. OnePlus 3 also has their own launcher, which I actually prefer using over the Google launcher. It has some simple settings allowing you to change the icons, the Google search bar, the app drawer, and much more. But something unique about the launcher is if you swipe all the way to the left, you will arrive upon the shelf screen. It's basically a replacement to the Google Now page, allowing you to find favorite or recent applications, quick contacts, weather, widgets, memos, or reminders. So this is a nice little feature I tend to use a lot, as I can find all my go-to stuff on this screen. Curious about the camera? Well, both of them are actually pretty solid with better specs than the last year's model. The camera on the back has a 16 megapixel Sony sensor with f2.0 aperture, optical image stabilization, face detection autofocus, one LED flash, which is a downgrade from the dual LED on the OnePlus 2, but not a huge deal, support for RAW capture, and video recording up to 4K resolution. Images and outdoor lighting are very natural, vivid, and crispy, not too oversaturated, maybe a little sharpening here and there, but overall a solid camera that takes decent photos when you need it to. The only problem I had is the images do tend to overexpose at times, so I did have to turn on HDR to solve this problem. But with low light scenarios, the photos did just fine. It showed the area really well with barely any noise in auto mode, and obviously there are way better smartphone cameras out there, but at the price you're paying for, you shouldn't expect too much from the camera, as OnePlus was probably just aiming to implement a decent camera that takes decent photos, and that's exactly what you get. Battery life on this phone is okay, not terrible, but not great. Like I said before, it does have a 3000 mAh battery, but I usually got around 3 to 4 hours of screen on time until I had to recharge my phone. This is most likely due to the 1080p display and the limitation of RAM usage. Also, there's a new method OnePlus used to charge the OnePlus 3 called dash charging. Essentially, you can get 60% charge in just 30 minutes, allowing you to fully charge your phone in an hour. The thing about dash charge that makes it so fast is that it's still pushing a lot of current throughout your phone, even when you're still using it. It's also still rocking a USB Type-C port, so the transition in adapters is ongoing, and you really don't need to leave your phone charging overnight anymore, as dash charge replenishes a good amount of battery in just a few minutes. Also, there's only one color variant to choose from called Graphite at the moment. OnePlus has a selection of material cases that makes your phone stand out. Personally, I like the bamboo case the most, or there's a wide selection of D brands for the OnePlus 3. You can check out their website, they have a wide variety of skins also for the OnePlus 3 and other phones. I'll leave a link in the description if you'd like to check them out. Overall, with the OnePlus 3, you get a solid phone that has a decent camera, a decent looking display, a fast fingerprint sensor, and some extra little software and hardware features that I find to be very useful, such as dash charge and the gesture controls. But there are some disadvantages when buying a low price phone, such as smaller battery, a single speaker, and that's pretty much it. With that being said, I would still recommend checking out this phone if you're looking for a solid phone at a low price with a stock Android feel to it. Plus, with the invite system being removed, you can now get your hands on this phone whenever you like. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ham on that like button. Check out AndroidPolice.com for your latest and greatest news on Android. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think about the OnePlus 3. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next one.